You cannot wait to be rescued. No one is coming to save you. It is up to you whether or not you get out of bed. The day is gonna happen. So two choices: bury your head in the sand or choose to fight like hell. You can't control the outcome, but I can certainly control the effort that I put in to try to get the outcome I want.
Someone's watching this right now, no audience, no momentum, no clarity. What are the first 3 moves that they should make and focus on for the next 30 days?
Study the MLS. Say your niche. Like for me, if I could do this all over again as a new agent, first time buyers would be my jam. I would learn the inventory in the price point that first time buyers were most likely to make a move in. I would connect my one-stop shop. Who are the vendors I need to service the first time buyers?
Every breakthrough starts with a moment where average is no longer acceptable. You don't lose in real estate because you're not talented. You lose because you're invisible. And today, we're breaking down the rise of Beth Silverman, an agent who turned attention into authority and authority into income. This isn't going to be a regular interview, y'all. This is a blueprint for becoming undeniable. So, Beth, welcome to the Leverage Lounge.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for saying yes. Glad you're here. Now, let's start here. When people look at you today, they see consistency, visibility, momentum, but I want you to define it. Like, what does your business actually look like right now?
Successful.
Okay.
One word.
I'll take that.
Right? I think the grind to get where I am today is, I think, what people think real estate's going to be like when they first get into the business. Like, I could choose my clients. I can choose my hours. I don't have to work at night. I control my schedule. No, 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 no. That's only because of where I have worked to get to this level today.
Right.
So it's successful because I am financially secure. I do have control over my time, and I don't have to worry about where the next deal is coming from.
So in this season, like, what does your business actually look like right now?
My business looks like a winning business should. I've helped my clients acquire over 400 doors, consistently a top producer across the United States. I just got my 5th icon with EXP, got a best-selling book, got 60 agents around the nation partnering with me through my revenue share organization, and I'm helping them establish their business, their selves, their lives, so that they can be as fruitful as I am.
Now, you don't have like a traditional business, I would say. Like your real estate business, you have clients who are finding you. So how are clients finding you?
Yeah, I'm an outlier. I felt like I didn't fit in for so many years in the industry because people will tell you, you have to list to last. They would say that to me, and that would make me nervous because I was always on the buy acquisition side because I do have a niche that I'll tell you about in a minute.
Yeah.
But they would say, you got to list to last. When you get a specific level of success as a solo agent, you have to scale to a team. All the things that people told me I had to do traditionally were not things I wanted to do. They said I had to cold call, I had to door knock, I had to send mailers. I didn't want to do any of that, and I certainly wasn't going to buy leads. So I felt like an outlier, and I thought, well, where do I fit in? And one day someone said to me, you fit in because you have value. You offer something extremely unique. And that is why I am who I am.
Let's get into the niche because I want the people to understand what we're talking about. You found a niche that's actually helping people get more of what it is that they want, not just your normal buy a house, sell a house, but talk a little bit more about what it is that you do.
Yes, I help everyday people generate and build legacy wealth by using the housing market as the vehicle. I am a residential investment specialist. And so that looks like house hacking, long-term rentals, short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, multifamily, Airbnbs. It looks like a buy and hold, a flip, a BRRRR, a Section 8. It looks like we're using the housing market to build wealth so we are financially secure and eventually financially free. That is what I do.
How did this start? Like you were a real estate agent helping people sell their homes and helping people buy their homes. How did you get to the point where you began helping some of those same people buy investment properties? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, we got to take it all the way back. It comes from being 26 and getting cancer. I got cancer, didn't die, had over $200,000 of debt. So there was never going to come a time where I thought I could buy real estate, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
I had learned, because we learn about finances from our parents, I was always invested in the stock market from the time I was younger. The dot-com bust happened. I lost everything I had put in. So I didn't trust the volatility of the stock market any longer. No one ever taught me how to invest in real estate. Then I was broke with a mountain of debt. So I got into real estate because a friend of mine said, "You're sitting on a gold mine of Facebook contacts. Like, you have national contacts of people from college, of having cancer. You should really get your real estate license." I get my real estate license. I'm living in Maryland, and I become an REO agent. If you don't know what REO is, it stands for real estate owned, and that is foreclosures.
Mhm.
I worked for a bank, and I would sell their foreclosed properties. So that's how it all started. I would sell typically to flippers. I don't even know if we called them flippers back then. The year's 2011.
Uh-huh.
There's no HGTV. I mean, what was it? Bob Vila, This Old House.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. And I built relationships with these flippers. I had one bank as my client. I was with a 100% boutique brokerage. So, by the way, I didn't even understand traditional real estate, like
Okay.
traditional buyers or sellers. I just
You
knew,
never even started there.
oh my God, my first year, 24 closings, I never once went to a settlement table. I didn't even know what that looked like.
Mm,
Is that not wild?
that is
So I
wild.
learned a different aspect of the business. So I'm doing these REOs and I have flippers who are, and I'm posting about everything on Facebook, by the way. This was my modality of reaching people, was talking about what I'm doing on Facebook. So I guess these flippers kind of got my information. They start contacting me. Why? Because they needed access to the inventory. I was pretty smart. So I said, well, what's in it for me? I want the exclusive right to list your end product.
And you
Deal.
were able to do that working at the bank?
I didn't work for the bank. I worked for a real estate company. The bank was simply my client. So if I had the REO listings and the flipper is purchasing that, most of the time I didn't represent them in that. They either came with their own representation, but in exchange for me saying, this is the shadow inventory, this is what's coming up, I know that you flip in these 5 blocks of Town. So I'm going to give you access to this inventory. In return, I want the exclusive right to list your end product. And by the way, I was great at it because I knew the finishes that the buyers wanted. And so I would talk to the flippers as they were mid-flip of, these are the paint colors that are in. This is the floor that you should use. These are the fixtures the buyers want. And then this is the stager that we're going to use. I didn't pay for staging back then. I used to say to them, I need you to put the staging as part of your flip calculations. And I would give them what my compensation was going to be. And when I would list the homes for them, I got it right every single time. I knew the price. And because I knew they were coming on the market, I was then going on Facebook talking to my regular friends saying, you guys, FHA, 3.5%. And in Baltimore, you had row homes with basement apartments, and most of them would be unfinished at that point. So I'd say to my regular friends, guys, 3.5% down, FHA. This is now 2014. Sellers were still paying closing costs.
Yep.
And I would then help my regular friends buy their first place. Then, because I was watching what these flippers were doing, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I know a guy that can build this basement out into an apartment for you. And now we're going to build this out. You're going to put a tenant in there. And now instead of your mortgage, your PITI being $1,500 a month, now it's $400 a month.
Right.
Then I would say to my friends, okay, do you trust me? Because we're all young. Nobody was married. Nobody had kids. They were able to sacrifice. I said, do you trust me? Will you take on a roommate in your main dwelling? Here's why. If now we have the tenant downstairs, if you take on a roommate in the main dwelling, you're living free, and now you're going to be cash flow positive. You're not only living free, the utilities are paid, but now you're making like an extra $500 or $600 per month.
Right.
I want you to do this for 1 to 2 years. Then we were going to rent out their portion of the dwelling and use the total rental revenue from upstairs and downstairs to offset the loan on their next purchase. Also going to do FHA 3.5% or conventional 5% down. So I'm teaching my friends how to do this. This was it. This was the only opportunity I knew how to teach. This was my offering. And I got pretty good at this. So what happens when you get good at real estate? You sell houses. What happens when you sell houses? You make commission. What happens when you make commission? Well, you're either a dummy and you spend it in places you shouldn't, or you're smart and you pay down your debt and you make a plan. And for me, paying off that mountain of $200,000 of debt meant I was going to have to get really good at real estate.
Yeah. That's so good, Beth. And you had the foresight to begin using Facebook as a platform really early in your business, where there's still agents today in 2026 who still are like, I'm scared to post. I don't know what to post. And da. And you were like, well, I just want to help my friends. Like, you knew who you were talking to. And you're like, I'm going to share what I'm learning and tell my friends, you guys, this is something that can actually make you a lot of money. And that's the point that I want to make really quick, is that, like, when your brand is built right, you don't wake up and look for business anymore. Business begins looking for you, and you have people reaching out to you.
I want to put a pin right there. And
Go.
For any early career agent, you don't have a brand. Sell houses. I'm telling you, I don't think I evolved into my brand until literally in the last 6 years. Like, Build Wealth with Beth did not even exist, but I certainly knew that I was working on becoming a niche specialist. Like, I think you have to sell a specific amount. I think here's one of the hard parts for agents that I see when you're trying to get into a niche. You say, well, at what point do I stop doing this type of business because I only want to focus on that? That's the hardest part, because it took me many years and I had to increase the opportunity, the value that I had to offer to bring in more people. Because so far I was only in flips and I was only in a buy and hold, add an additional unit, rent it out, and buy something else. So those were the only two things I did. So I had to increase my offering, grow a bigger base, then sell other opportunities, and then my brand took flight. So I just don't want people to have it backwards. Like, their only job in the beginning is to figure out what you can offer, be the best at one offering, and then see how we can grow.
Yeah, because a lot of people have in action, especially agents, this pressure that's felt to have it all figured out and know exactly what you want this to look like. I've done a lot of coached with a lot of coaches, and they're like, write down your 10-year plan. What's the 5-year goal? In those moments, I was like, I don't know what this is going to look like in 10 years. I guess I can say what I want it to look like, but that was really always hard for me. 10-year plan, 20-year plan. And what I hear you saying is that, like, you had maybe a 1 to 3-year plan of like, hey, I'm going to get better at what I'm doing. I'm going to become an expert in this area, and I'm just going to share what I learn with people. And the brand began to build itself. Is that right?
Yes, I love what you're saying. I felt the same. I didn't have a 5-year plan. I didn't have a 10-year plan. I was clinging to barely having a 1-year plan because of life after surviving cancer.
Life was
A
life.
1-year plan was a big deal. And so I also felt like I wasn't good enough, like I didn't understand enough of what I wanted when these coaches or brokers or mentors were saying, you got to write it down. I'm telling you, man, in those first few years, I wasn't ready. I didn't know. And I wish I didn't spend that time. I felt like I needed brand colors or a logo because somehow that was going to give me authority. No, I needed to keep my head down, study the MLS like the Bible. Start your morning and end your morning in the MLS, understanding all of the inventory in the area with which you perceive that you can offer value. Like, the MLS is my life. I also firmly believe that brokers, mentors, coaches, they're always telling you to lead generate, find a client. Who do you know looking to buy, sell, invest, refer? And I want people to rethink, what if you found an opportunity before the client What if you found an opportunity? If my opportunity was, I can show you how to take 3.5% down to purchase your first home. I can show you the amount of money and the team required to build an accessory dwelling unit. I can show you in 1 year how we're going to take that rent and help you buy a second place. If I can show you that, who wants to raise their hand and say yes? So instead of looking for the client, I believe you have to look for the opportunity, then speak about it on social media, and the clients will show up. And I can tell you, people have the money.
I love what you're saying here because the shift happens when you stop asking, how do I get more leads? And start saying, well, how do I get better at what I'm doing? How do I find opportunities that I can present to other people?
How do I offer value?
How do I offer
Right?
value?
If somebody says no to you, you and I both know this. No, they're not rejecting you. They just don't know how you can help them. So
That's
if
good.
you're not offering them something of value, you and I both know money changes hands when problems are solved. That is Coach
Yep.
Michael Burke. Money changes hands when problems are solved. So the problem that I saw in the flippers was they needed inventory. Well, if I could solve their problem, I'm going to get paid because I'm going to list their flip. The problem I saw with my young friends, which are the FHA, I had a huge friendship with hospitality people. And they make a lot of cash tip money and they didn't claim that.
Yep.
And so they had a lot of mattress money and you couldn't season it to use for a loan. So certainly they had their 3.5%, they had their FICO, they could get a house, but they couldn't get a lot of house. And so I could find them that fixer upper with the basement not being finished. And then they were sitting on a boatload of cash. So then I had a team so they could build that out. So
Yeah.
as I grew, the opportunities of value grew. When I moved the business to Florida, I said, where's the opportunity here? And I found it in Airbnbs and short-term rentals. And so again, I didn't have clients in Florida. I found opportunities in Florida and I went back and I called on my people from New York, from Maryland, and I went on Facebook and I said, these are the opportunities I found this week. This is what it's going to cost you to buy. I have a team that will show you how to outfit and operate it. This is what you're going to earn. Who's in? And the people who are in would reach out to me.
That's so good. So you came up with this kind of concierge approach to it. It's like, I'm not going to just bring the property to you and say, hey, there's a property that you can buy that needs some work and here's how much you can pay for it. And then leave it up to them to find the contractors and find the stagers and find it. You came with this solution to many of the investors' problems that they would have when they would purchase a property. And you learned that by doing it, by simply helping those investors, seeing what problems they were running into, figuring out those solutions, and then partnering with those solutions and saying, hey, I come with a well-rounded solution to every problem that you might encounter. Is that right?
I wanted to make it easy for them to say yes. So to make it easy, I had to solve the problems, right? And so if you're an out-of-state investor, which is typically what it is when my market is Florida, what are the issues that they have? Property management. They don't have a team. They don't have a contractor. And so I was like, oh, I could create an easy button, a one-stop shop. So right away, I would always hear realtors say, like, from start to sold, like what I touch is gold. And I was like, nah, I'm not taking you from start to sold. I'm going to take you from purchase to profit.
Cool.
Yep. And so if I'm handing you an opportunity in a bow where it's all laid out, and then I'm closing you by saying, are you in or are you in? If you are not in and you're not ready to sign the purchase agreement right now, I'm moving the opportunity to someone else. You have 24 hours.
That reminds me of my wholesaling days. We would put properties out there and we'd send them out to our investor buyers who were saying that they were interested in properties. And we're like, hey, take a picture of the escrow deposit that you're going to make. Take a picture of it. The first one that sends it to us along with the signed contract is the one that gets it. And you start kind of training your buyers on saying, hey, these are real opportunities. And if I'm going to drag my feet, I'm going to miss it. But if I want to hop on this boat, I better act fast. But let me ask you this. Was there ever a moment where you doubted yourself? Maybe
No.
where you questioned if you were even cut out for this?
I think in the beginning of your career, when the deal flow isn't steady, when you're on the roller coaster, when you are making the mistakes that early career agents make, which is coasting, that you think I have deals in the pipeline, I have pending deals, maybe I have one or two coming up. So then you coast, like you think it's a reason to go celebrate with your friends or go buy yourself a nicer car. You get off track. And so when you start to coast or when you become complacent, pain is right around the corner. Because if one of your little 3 deals falls apart, because you think that's a lot of deals to have, what happens then? What is your contingency plan? And so I didn't have contingency. I had debt. So there was no room for failure. I had to keep going. And of course, when you're in financial strain, the physical and emotional toll that it takes is brutal. And so you have to force yourself to really push through and recommit every day, knowing that the win is around the corner. And for me, the real turning point in my career was COVID, because I had lost everything I had in the pipeline. I felt like I had just started to win in my career.
Yeah.
So I was paying off my debt. I had some money in the bank. I had some savings. So COVID hit and I was like, okay, I knew how long my savings would last. So I knew I had about 4
Clock
months.
was ticking.
Yes. And I was sad. I wallowed for like 3 or 4 days. And luckily, I remember the president of EXP at the time, like they came out the gates swinging. Like they didn't wait. They were agile. They were like, we're built for this. They opened up our Meadow universe to every brokerage.
That's
Like they
right.
just wanted to help keep our industry going. And it was one of our mentors, Jay Kinder and John Kitchens. And they were like, don't take your foot off the gas. This is the time that you double down. And what happened is that I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't have my social life. And I learned very quickly that I was still keeping those people in my life. And I was never going to win if I was still going out and hanging around people who weren't high level winners. And so COVID forced me to shut that part of my life off and to become fully dialed in to the biggest experts in the industry. I commit and I came out of the gates swinging, and I have been on an upward trajectory ever since. Every single year since 2020, I have raised my personal revenue by my salary. I've raised it by $100,000 every single year in a row.
Wow.
Got out of debt. I bought a lot of houses. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm never going to go through the physical and mental pain of financial anguish, which I thought that was going to kill me. Cancer didn't, but I thought that was gonna. And now it's not.
Yeah, it's either going to kill you or make you stronger, because people see the highlight reel, but they don't see the internal battle. And here's what I know. The version of you that wins is built in the season where it feels like nothing is working. You don't build confidence first. You build courage, and then confidence follows. So I want to go back to the diagnosis. Talk us through that, because it's a very real thing. And many people, if they haven't had cancer themselves, we all know somebody who's been affected by it and loved ones who either survived or did not survive it. Take us back to that day. What was life looking like for you before the diagnosis, and then you got the diagnosis?
I mean, I was winning. I was a winner. Like at 25, like I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't believe the life you've built. And I remember saying, like, I was overseeing, the shoe store Aldo. So I was a general manager overseeing 5 of their stores in New York City, including their flagship. In my 20s, I had hundreds of direct reports. Like I was making great money. But I also, if you've ever worked retail, you know that the hours, you literally give your
You're giving your
entire
life.
life
Yeah.
away. And you don't realize, well, I didn't realize that you're doing it to make other people very wealthy. Whereas you, I had no idea. Like I just thought I was so good because I was making all these bonuses and
Yeah.
money.
Getting
I was,
promoted.
yep. I was commuting 3 hours round trip a day from Long Island to the city. So first of all, like you think about that you think that's normal. Like New Yorkers think that these big commutes are normal. It's insane.
Right.
I had no life, no holidays, no weekends, nothing. I mean, if I wasn't working, somebody at the store or one of the stores was calling me. I was on, and I thought that I was in charge. No, I wasn't. And so skipping through the loo, my yellow brick road of life, right?
Mhm.
And one day I was taking a shower and I felt something in my breast and I was like, oh, this isn't normal. And I went through just a really challenging thing because medicine has changed so much in all of these years. And really back then in 2004, somebody who was 26, you just didn't get breast cancer. It wasn't like that. So I really had to learn quickly to be my own best advocate. And there was this kind of 2-week
And what
period,
year was this?
2004.
2004.
Yeah, which is wild. 21 years. Like, it's so I'll be 49 in a few weeks. Like, I was supposed to be dead at 30. So we're in good shape, kids. It was wild. I remember being young, and I remember like young women couldn't get breast cancer. But the only thing I knew is that I had dated this guy, and his girlfriend, one of his girls he dated, she was 27, and she had gotten breast cancer 6 months before. So that was the only reason I even thought about it. That
Mm.
was the only reason I did a self-exam. Like, I go to the gynecologist like every other girl does. Like, I have no family history. I was in perfect health. I was 26. Like, I was the epitome of awesome. But I do like to be number one. And so I felt this lump and I get off the train from the city and I call my sister. So we lived together. And my sister was like, I'm calling dad. And my dad knew that young women could get breast cancer. And so my dad called right away and he said, listen, you're not going to a gynecologist. You're going to go directly to a breast surgeon. And I call and I'm like, hi, I'm 26 and I have a lump. And they were like, okay, we can get you in 10 days. And I'm like, is that a long time? And they're like, it's probably nothing. Like, you're so young. You have no family history. You don't smoke, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I go and I get, a sonogram, and right away, like, I saw the blood drain from this doctor's face. Like, and of course, knowing what I know now, they knew right away. So the same day they were like, hey, we want to send you for a mammogram. And so I'm looking at my sister-in-law. She wasn't my sister-in-law yet. She was like 23. And I'm like, hey, how much gas do you have? Like, we got to drive across. And I saw the nurse say, hey, they can't get her in today. And then I watched the breast surgeon pick up the phone and say, you need to get her in. So I kind of knew something was wrong. So now we're driving across to the radiologist. So I walk in and I'm calling my mom. I was like, is a mammogram going to hurt? And she was like, yeah. And so all these women were like our mother's age, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't even know how to put a gown. I didn't even know where I shoved my clothes like in my purse. It was so wild. So they do another ultrasound and they find another lump and then they put me in the mammogram and the mammography tech comes out and I was like, why would you choose this career? I was like, you provide pain. I had some humor, right? So then they're
Yeah.
like, hey, we want you to see the radiologist. And again, I'm so dumb. I don't realize it. They all clearly realize something's very wrong.
But you said they found another lump.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the sonogram. And so then I see my future sister-in-law. She was tearing recipes out of the magazine in the waiting room. She was like, your brother's going to love this. Like, this is what's going
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
right? So now they put me into another room. And then the radiologist walks in, Dr. Geraldine McGinty. She looks like Nicole Kidman, and she's tall and beautiful with this accent. And she says, we want to do a biopsy today. Again, I'm thinking this is normal.
It's a day in the park.
So they do the biopsy, stick an ice pack in my boob, my breast, my bra, and she goes, we're going to rush the results. We should have them in about 4 days. And first of all, like, there's not the internet the way that there is the internet. So like, you have to understand, like, I'm not like Googling things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. So I go back to work. I was in my annual review with the regional who flew in. So my phone was turned off. And I finish that. I get on the train and I get home. We had answering machines back then. And there's 5 messages beeping. And the first one was, hi, Beth. It's 3:30. It's Dr. Bush, my breast surgeon. Give me a call. Hi, Beth. It's 4:30. It's Dr. McGinty, the radiologist. Give me a call. Hi, Beth. It's Dr. Bush. It's 5 o'clock. Please call the service so they can call me. 7 o'clock. Hi, Beth. It's Dr. Bush. This is my cell phone, or Dr. McGinty. This is my cell phone number.
Are you freaking out at this point?
So now, yeah, I know it's going to be bad. So it's now 9 o'clock at night. I'm sitting with my sister and, I call Dr. McGinty, and I later relived all of this with my medical team to understand what their experience was. So what I had learned is she was at dinner with her husband at a restaurant, and she stepped outside, this tall, beautiful, like Nicole Kidman woman, and she sat on a curb and she said to me, "I'm afraid it's bad news. It's cancer." And I just remember, I don't talk about this. I remember looking at my sister and just kind of nodding. My dad was like beeping it on the other line. My sister called my brother and his fiance, and they were like on their way over. And my little brother, he's an Emmy award-winning meteorologist. My doctor was like, "Okay, we're going to follow up like tomorrow. Like, we're going to tell you what's going to happen next." She basically was like, "You're going to meet with the oncologist. You're going to go back to the breast surgeon. You're going to have surgery within a week or two. Then we're going to make a plan. Then we're going to start chemo." Like, she's like, so it was just happening so fast, but so slow. Because my mom was like in Florida. She was like going to pack a suitcase and like come back to New York. I was like,
Yeah.
"Don't do that yet." I was like, "We need to figure it out." And I said, "Don't tell Jared because he's going on air." What does my mom do? I didn't learn this till like a year later. She calls my brother right before he goes on the air. And he's
Oh
like
my
wiping his
goodness.
tears and putting makeup on before he goes on the air. Like, my mom just basically told him, like, "Your sister has cancer." It was a wild ride. In the beginning, it's this thing called hurry up and wait. You
Yeah.
have to meet with a lot of doctors. You have to have an initial surgery, then get your treatment plan. So what ensued was 2.5 years of active treatment of chemo. I had all these surgeries. I pioneered a surgery. It was 17 hours long. It was one of the first types of this particular breast reconstruction that I had. I immediately started an organization with my surgeon that grew to educate women in 70 countries about breast reconstruction, breastreconstruction.org. If you or someone you know is facing breast cancer, I became huge in the breast cancer world. Then I became huge in the young adult cancer movement. And when I didn't die, I had about 50 friends who did over the course of my 10-year
Wow.
journey. Yeah, so it was a life-altering experience. And over the years, as it kind of evolved and changed, I was able to go back to my siblings, to my friends, to understand how me getting sick, how did it affect them?
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride. There's a lot that I don't talk about or think about, as you can tell. It's just you don't want regular people to understand or experience
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
like. But it certainly did reiterate what I always knew about myself from the time I was a little
That's
girl,
what I
is
wanted
that
to know. Like, what did you learn about yourself?
I'm resilient AF. I am
Yeah.
courageous. I am brave. And I understand the importance of being my own best advocate. I understand that you cannot wait to be rescued. No one is coming to save you. It is up to you whether or not you get out of bed. The day is gonna happen. So, two choices: bury your head in the sand or choose to fight like hell. You can't control the outcome, but I can certainly control the effort that I put in to try to get the outcome I want.
And how has that influenced your business now? Because that is something that I love that you took your pain and created a platform. And now, as we're going into circling back to real estate, how has that impacted how you lead now? Are you more sympathetic or empathetic when people are going through things? Or do you find yourself being that coach that says, "Hey, listen, I understand it happened, but we got to go. It's time to fight."
You and I have both said over the years, we've talked really about the correlation of like the energy you put in is going to give you the output that you want. Like, there's a correlation, right? You're not going to get $1 million paycheck with a part-time work ethic. And so my superpower was that I could outwork anyone. I'm not saying that's the best method, because of course we want to work smarter.
Yeah.
But I could outgrind anyone, because there were days during chemo where the hardest part of my day and the only win of my day was making it from the bed to the toilet. It was so painful.
Mm.
And I understand what real exhaustion feels like. So on the days that you feel totally beat up, where every deal fell apart, clients hate you, you're broke, and you're losing, I could outwork anyone to turn it around. And I commit. There were times, and you remember this, I worked 61 days in a row, no days off,
Yeah.
and I was working like 10 to 14 hours a day. I'm not saying that's smart, but I am saying there is a direct relation to what you put in. You will get something out of it. If I went to the gym every single day for 61 days in a row for all of those hours, guess what? I am going to look and achieve a specific level of health.
That's right.
Fact.
Even if you're doing the workouts wrong, even if you don't know exactly what to do, the fact that you're doing it and you're doing it consistently and constantly showing up because you're putting in effort, something is going to happen. You're going to start seeing
and then
steps
what
in
happens?
the right direction.
Then you start showing up. So you start seeing people that you can align with for help.
Yeah.
You start asking the right people for help. How's my form? What can I be doing differently?
Yeah.
How should I change this? And then they recognize that you're showing up because they see you there every day. They might have made fun of you in the beginning, but they see you. And then that makes them excited.
That's right. And now they want to help you get to where you're trying to go.
Yes.
Yes.
And now they're excited for you. So then when other people are excited for you and they're supporting you, you now feel extra energy to get past mile 23, 24, 25. Now we're breaking barriers and we're like, what
and we're building confidence along the way.
Yes. Now I have support. So I have belief in myself first, courage in the face of adversity, resilience, never quitting because that was never going to be an option. There was never a contingency plan. There was never a side hustle. Never. There was only one thing, and that was win.
People need to hear that because, especially in real estate, man, we got so many agents where in an industry where more people who have their license don't sell anything than the ones that do. There's a lot of side quests, a lot of side hustles. And listen, there was times in my life, you know my story, where when I was facing bankruptcy and it was tough. Then getting slapped in the face by the pandemic, I was out doing Uber and Lyft. And not only was I doing it, my wife was doing it as well. We had come from making really good money and, me working at Disney for 12 years and making great money in sales and then flipping homes after that. And then all of this stuff changed. I had a business partner who stole, 6 figures out of my account. And then next thing I know, here we are like driving my truck. My wife's driving her BMW and doing Lyft and her X5. And it was this moment where we were either going to bury our head in the sand or go and get after it. And just like you said, as I began building my business, I started doing more open houses and I started showing up for myself. I started building confidence. And then they said that if you speak what you want out into the world, the universe conspires to make it happen for you. And I started seeing that business started happening and people wanted to help me. There were agents who had listings who would call me because they saw that I was doing open houses all the time because I was posting that on social media. And they were like, hey, I got a new listing. You want to do my open house? I was like, yeah. And within a span of 4 or 5 months, I'd made $40,000, $50,000. And I was able to tell the bankruptcy attorney I was no longer going to need his services because God showed me a way out. And that same year, I made over $200,000. And every single year, I made even more than that.
And so
that's it. That's exactly what you're getting at.
I love you.
I know we were on a similar journey.
I wish people out there would understand, people tell their story. And what I always try to say is it's not just me. I have friends that have this story too. Absolute despair. And we climbed out of it. And what did we do that was the same, right? Because this isn't secret. Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
You started posting about the action you were taking and you did it with consistency. And we didn't listen, does it help that you're very good looking and very good on camera and you feel so natural? But what it made it so enjoyable for us to watch your journey. And so I knew you were doing these things with consistency. And so then I was like, he's showing up every day. I got to show up too.
Let's
you
go.
And I were saying yes. We were offered everything from being mentors, starting to speak on small stages. So we were scared, but we said yes. So then we would see each other at events. We would see each other on stages. And we would then say, are you coaching with this person? What are you learning? How has that been for you? And so we were on these parallel paths of success. And it's been really inspiring to watch. But again, we hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
We didn't give up and we took action consistently. And then when you take consistent action, you also become better at the action, right?
Yes.
Outcomes better, the close rates, the conversion rates. creating the opportunities, having the conversations, I started to pivot my investors into different products that would change with the market. So that's how I built my business, because it's all repeatable. So my average client transacts anywhere from 3 to 5 times with me in 2 years, which is a big deal.
Wow.
So I just keep my sphere nice and tight, right? I don't have to keep lead genning. It's all within my sphere. And I would come up with these new opportunities. When I first got into co-living and pad split, if you heard me pitch it in the beginning, I sounded like I was shaking. I had no clue how to really talk about it. But all I needed were a few people that trusted me enough, were willing to say yes. So by the way, I got a million no's in the beginning. Then it was like I couldn't stop the train. So like in that 1 year where 31 of my houses that I sold were because of pad split. Like I was selling that opportunity. And yeah, and it was Airbnb before that.
Yeah.
So I feel like you hone in on your craft and then you're building trust. And like we said, the brand sort of evolves from there.
Being intentional and being consistent is exactly where most people need to be. And I want to talk about intentionality because walk me through your content approach now. As you said, you don't need a lot of people. You just need a few more of the right people. You have enough of the right people, but you're posting consistently. But how intentional are you with educating your audience, showing your lifestyle, or even positioning yourself as this authority? And then how do you turn that into actual closings? Because a lot of people are posting, but they're not converting.
Right. And so first you have to find, where does your audience live? For me, it was always Facebook. It was my peers. And why? It was because I think it was the age, because my age was on Facebook. And
I know what all the young people right now are saying. Yeah, because old people use Facebook. Listen, that's where
correct.
my people are too. So I get it.
But for me, realtors are on Instagram. So I can post the same content and it performs very differently on both channels.
Yes.
And so when I was really trying to actively grow my Instagram and when I was actively trying to gain clients from Facebook, my content was educational. I used to do a series called Breaking Down the Deal. And back then, if I didn't have a client, this is what people don't even know, I would pretend that I had a client and be like, this is the house. I'm going to break down the deal. And by the way, I would get calls immediately being like, wait, I want that. And if that house was still listed as active, then we were going after it.
You had a client.
So I was showing them the steps of what it meant to purchase, what it would cost them to operate, what it would net them. So I broke down the deal. Then anytime I sold a house, let's say it was one of my friends, first-time buyer, I said, today we're going to break down the deal for a first-time buyer using a 5% conventional loan. And I broke down the PITI, what we got from the seller. So I was always breaking down the deal to make the numbers understandable.
And this is in your content? This is in your videos that you're posting?
Okay. And by the way, there was nothing fancy. I had a tripod with a halo. I stuck my phone in the middle of it. And sometimes I would try to like memorize a script. So what I would do is I would write down my talking points on pieces of paper and I would cut them and I would tape them to the top of the halo light. So then here's my phone, here's the thing. And I would spend a lot of time because I would do this. I didn't understand editing. So then I would try to put it together as best as I could, but I didn't really have a lot of fear of how I looked. Like some of my best content was when I was so heavy. I would get 40 pounds more than I do now. And I wasn't afraid. I was just putting it out there every day. As I made more money, then I hired a team to come in my house with lighting, with cameras, where we would batch 30 to 60 reels in like an 8-hour day. I would spend a lot of money. I spent money on editing, but this then allowed me to, it was like a 2-year period where I was just putting out all these reels about Airbnb, about pad split, about Section 8, about multifamily. And on Instagram, I was saying, if you're a realtor and you want to learn this, or you want to invest for yourself, you need to contact me, get in my DMs. On Facebook, it was just creating authority where suddenly people my age would DM me and be like, hey, my grandmother just died. I inherited $150,000. What should I do? Or they would be like, hey, we want to buy a place in Florida to eventually retire to. What can we do now is there a place we could buy and then rent out? And I would be like, well, even if we don't buy what you believe is going to be your forever home, what if we buy you an income property that we can later 1031 to get you there? And so I would just put these ideas in people's heads of like, hey, this is what you need to do. And I would post in Facebook groups. Like, it was never just about me. It was how much value could I provide in neighborhood groups. I was never posting as Beth Silverman Realtor. It was just my personal page. I belonged to all the Airbnb groups, the beach groups, investor groups on Facebook. And I would post, I would help people. And I never once pitched real estate, but I was building authority just by adding free value. And so one day, this doctor comes to me in 2018 or 2019, and I read all about you. I really want to get on a call with you. And he'll tell you, I called him at 10 o'clock that night because back then I didn't have any boundaries. I was hustling.
Yeah.
We bought his first duplex in 2018. It's now 2026. We have done, I want to say like 8 or 9 transactions together. I built him millions of dollars in wealth. That very first duplex that we got, right now, tomorrow, he's closing on a cash out refi on it, and he's buying an already leased up 8 units, fully cash flowing, that we're closing on next week, that's being sold to him by one of my other investors who I helped purchase that 3 years prior. So I've built this circle where it's all in the family. And so this guy, he was a doctor. And so he introduced me to all of his doctor friends. And during COVID, because I met them before that, they were exhausted. Yeah. They wanted to speed up their retirement strategy, or they wanted to offset their very rich income. So you got to get to the one who brings you to the many. So for me, he was such a big client who brought me to so many other clients. And when I posted about the deals, other people came to me. So I never bought a lead. And by the way, do you know that most of those posts, I didn't get a lot of likes or comments. A lot of people would just show up in my DMs. But if somebody did click like, I took that as an invitation to start talking to them.
Okay.
Hey man, I see you like my post. What are you trying to do? You trying to make a move this year?
Wow. You were going after it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you clicked like, I took that as an invitation that you liked the content I was offering. If you were a realtor who clicked like, I started a series called Just the Tip Tuesday, and I gave free coaching to groups of realtors, broker agnostic, and I did this for like 4 or 5 years. Every Tuesday, I free coached for years. And that's kind of how I built my downline, and that's how I inspired agents. I just wanted people to know, like, it's okay if you don't build it the traditional way, but you still have to take the same steps towards success.
Yeah. Just the Tip Tuesday, huh? That's an interesting name. So I love that you built some systems behind the scenes. And here's the thing. Consistency builds recognition. Recognition builds the trust, and then trust builds income. So if your content doesn't convert, it may not necessarily be because it's bad. It's because it's not clear.
So young agents, right? Early career agents, they might say, well, but Beth, which came first, the chicken or the egg? How do I do this? This is what I want people to understand. If you're looking for the opportunity first, not the client. So if I am building this, let's talk 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I get to Florida and I know nobody, and I know that short-term rentals are going to be my opportunity here, the first thing I'm going to say on social media is, today I'm searching the MLS because I'm on a hunt for the best short-term rentals available under $500,000. So great. The next day I would go and preview all of those properties, and I would take people on that journey with me. The next day I would do a breakdown. I would say, of those 5, there was only 2 that I liked. Here's why. And I would never give away the property address. I would say, here's why. Here are the numbers behind it. If you're interested in this or an opportunity like this, reach out. So if I didn't have a client, I was still building the authority by showing the process.
Yes. So good. And then you began to leverage the relationships that you had, like the doctor who was the node, right? He's the spider, but then to get the whole web. So he starts inviting people to reach out to you, and you start helping them to build wealth, because leverage isn't about working harder. It's about building something that multiplies. And when your brand grows, your opportunities stop being linear. That's when they become exponential. So I love that you've created these systems and ways to educate clients through your platform and through social. A couple of questions that I have for you, though, is like, what habits have been non-negotiable for your growth? What are you doing that has to be done every day in order to keep this ball rolling?
I've learned that if I want to make more money, I have to just pick up the phone. So if I feel like there's not deal flow or if I feel like I need more, I need to work the phones and work my sphere. Where I have failed, and I don't look at failure at all, but where I've had an opportunity area along the way is I should have better automated a CRM and a follow-up system. Why I didn't was for a million reasons, but I also felt like, well, because I'm not buying leads and I'm not cold calling leads and I'm not dealing with the people who I don't want to deal with. But what I wish I had understood was, well, Beth, if the percentage of my clients, my family, if they're transacting X amount of times in this time period, am I sure that I'm reaching all of them to see who's still wanting to do things? Like, I would be guilty of getting so involved. Like, I had like 2 clients that each bought like 7 or 10 houses within 1 year. I had one client that offloaded 25. So I would get so wrapped up with them that some of my other family members
Yeah.
of clients were not getting the love. So I should have automated that. And by the way, with the help of AI and Claude, that's really where I've turned to now so that I can really keep this wheel spinning to the point that it could be a sellable business one day.
That's so good. I love what you're building. And someone's watching this right now, no audience, no momentum, no clarity. What are the first 3 moves that they should make and focus on for the next 30 days?
Study the MLS. Say your niche. Like for me, if I could do this all over again as a new agent, first time buyers would be my jam because I actually make a lot of money with them. I love working with them because I've dialed the system down so beautifully. So I would say that's going to be my niche. So that means I have to start attacking the rental market, right?
Yeah.
This is my niche. I would learn the inventory in the price point that first time buyers were most likely to make a move in. I would connect my one-stop shop. Who are the vendors I need to service the first-time buyers? They're the ones willing to handhold. They're the inspectors willing to deal with the dads. They are the lenders who know that we might need some credit repair, right? So I wouldn't be trying to find these vendors that don't want to partner with me. I'm trying to find the best one-stop shop solution for this. And then I am posting every single day about the opportunity. So I'm previewing 5 to 25 houses per week, looking for the best ones that fit the opportunity for that niche. And then I'm talking about it, never giving away the property address. I'm just talking about what I found. And I'm asking people, if you know somebody who's looking for this opportunity, put them in touch with me.
Mm. See, here's something that you figured out. People don't need more information. They actually need direction. You're leading them through the next step. You're not just spouting out information. And I love what you're building and how you're helping other agents build. So let's talk about that as we begin to wrap. Like, what are you doing that's helping other agents now? Because you're a wealth of information. You've got it out the mud, and now you're helping other people.
Yeah. So a lot of the agents that have partnered with me, they're solo, just like me, because I do believe that a team environment is just totally different skill set. And so they're solo. I believe they desire to be solo, but they also have to understand that the best solo agents have huge support staffs. So I'm helping them understand how to delegate, how to leverage, how to bring in a support staff to help them grow their business. A lot of them are either investors or if they're not, like if they just come to me because they met me on Instagram or Facebook and they had a pain point at their brokerage, I will tell you almost all of my agents have purchased their first duplex, an income property, an
Yeah.
Airbnb because they see me doing it. We talk about it. And because they also know, like, I'm here to talk through their deals and their purchases. And they also know that being at a brokerage like EXP, oh, did you know we get 3 personal deals per year? So if you have an investment mindset,
That you
there's
don't
no
have to
better
pay a split
brokerage
on.
to partner with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say this clearly. If nobody knows you, nobody's choosing you. You're not losing deals. You're probably just losing attention. So it's time to stop chasing leads and start building a brand that makes you impossible to ignore, like Beth did. And if you're watching this right now and you're realizing you've been putting in the work, but you're not getting seen, it's time to change that. Send this to 2 agents who are grinding every day, posting inconsistently, and wondering why it's not working, because the gap isn't effort, it's strategy. Again, you don't need more leads. You need more eyes on you. You don't need more hustle. You need more leverage. And once you become visible, you don't chase the business. The business starts chasing you. So lock in. Let me know that you've enjoyed this. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified on our next episode when it drops. This is the Leverage Lounge. I'm Mike Collier. We'll see you soon.